welcome to this week's edition of the Collection Comic of the Week. The book for this week is the conclusion to the four-part story arc we've been looking at here in the month of September. It is Amazing Spider-Man Annual 2001, and this was one of the three books that I originally picked up, and it was a book that, well, because I didn't have part 3 of the 4 parts, not everything made sense. I didn't have context, not only with the history of Peter and Mary Jane and everything that had gone on with them, marriage and getting separated, because, most of my knowledge of Peter and Mary Jane was through the cartoon, and a few books here and there where, that I had with maybe Mary Jane was in it, maybe she was not. But none of the ones I had to that point had Peter and Mary Jane married. So there you go. So not only did I not know they were married at one point, but I didn't know they had separated. I didn't know any of this, so I was very, very, very lost. And then on top of the fact that it's a good story, like especially now, kind of the whole theme of this entire arc has been growing up, getting older as an adult. You appreciate and you understand things more, given more context and just everything. But again, it is just kind of one of those, for an 11-year-old kid who wanted to see Spider-Man, web sling and kick ass and everything like that. The conclusion to this story arc was confusing and mushy and not what I was expecting. So I kind of, other than getting the conclusion, I was a little deflated. But, years later, getting the third part, reading it all, understanding more of the character, more of the context and everything, I appreciate the story arc more. Still not going to say, this is my favorite book, but it is what it is. So, well, let's have a look. Iconic cover here. This cover and this picture of Spider-Man would be used on, everything. From here on out, it's on T-shirts. It's been on, posters. This has kind of become the quintessential Spider-Man photo, and this is the book where it began. I didn't really think about that when I picked up this book, but it went on to become pretty iconic. You can see Peter and Mary Jane going out together. They're enjoying life again, and they're trying to be happy, trying to intermingle with friends, just kind of trying to lead that life that they always wanted. And there's Aunt Anna, and got some more stuff. And see the Parkers, getting all their old stuff back out. The art's really, the writing is really well done in this, but it is kind of, it's not the most action-packed book. It's all really in the dialogue. And then you hear Mary Jane says the door won't open, so she gets paranoid, especially with everything she's been through. She's very paranoid, and then, find out that it's no big deal, but after everything that, she's been through with being the spouse and significant other of a superhero, just not, her paranoia and her fears are an all-time high. We have dinner with Aunt Anna, and a little bit of topical humor here. Yeah. She thought she was voting for that nice Al Gore and wound up voting for that horrible fellow instead. And I don't know if I'll ever understand who exactly this Chad person is. So, little play on the 2000 election with thinking you were voting for Al Gore or George Bush. I can't remember the exact story, but thought you were voting for Al Gore, but really you were voting for like Pat Buchanan, and there were hanging Chads that on the ballots, and I chuckled at the topical humor here because this was something that we were learning about or had learned about in school. But at the same time, it's kind of like I can laugh at this, and because it's done in fun. All comic books are nowadays is political humor, and even though I agree with quite a bit of it, I get a little tired hearing it in all the comics. Okay, this always made me laugh. Free demo of Paper Mario, and they just cut a paper cut out of Mario. I would not dare doing that because I'd be messing up this comic book. But yes. More stuff, more memories, of them just trying to convince themselves they can make it work, be normal. And then Peter sees there's a fire and there's an issue, so even though he's getting ready to get intimate with the love of his life, he realizes he's got a responsibility. He says, I'll be right back, and there's some figures I wish I owned, and if I can ever find them, I will buy them. He starts web slinging, and Peter's by herself, watching Spider-Man on TV, do his Spider-Man thing, listening to the news talk him up about how he's always there for people, but then Mary Jane realizes he's there for everybody, but he can't always be there for her, and it's not the life they can do. She doesn't know if he's still Peter anymore. He gets back. They think they can do it, but they go for a walk and realize they can't be together still. And they're going to try and get remarried. But it just can't happen. And that was the end of their run on Spider-Man. So kind of a good way of doing it. And yeah. Look at the standard ads in the back. Cheese nips, and that is Amazing Spider-Man, Annual 2001. There's some pros to this book. There's, great art, great storytelling. It was a very good story arc, and it really divulged into a lot of things that show that comic books are more than just action books. But even with everything I appreciate now about the medium of comics, still would have liked a little bit more action. But, there are other Spider-Man books with more action, and this was the story that needed to be told at this time, and it was a very important story that was told. Do you also own this comic book? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share, subscribe for more content, not just from the world of comic books, but from the world of pro wrestling, gaming, anime, and all things geek culture. Follow me on my social media pages, facebook.com/athleticgeekA9, Twitter @athletic_geekA9, Instagram @athleticgeekA9, and if you'd like to help improve this channel financially, I am on Patreon, patreon.com/athleticgeekA9. And that, I'm out. Y'all be cool.